Good evening, everyone. This is the Rooftop Sports here for a weekly Mariners talk, along with my friend, as usual, J Trident Podcast. Well, the Super Bowl just ended. Football season is finally over, unless you care about that other football league where the Dragons don't want any play there anymore. So who cares about that at this point? But if you're getting into that, that's for you, but not for me. But until then, we have about 12 days until the start of the baseball season of spring training. And Trident, how have you been on this very quiet Mariners update in the last week? You haven't really heard anything for a while.
Yeah, I feel we were talking before we came on. I feel bad. I haven't done a video on my channel in over a week. I've been busy with work stuff, but right now it's just not a ton to really go over with the Mariners. It seems like, now we're kind of getting close to spring training. It's we're starting to get into go time here where it's almost time for some real baseball. And I'm excited for it. I think we might see a move or two, smaller moves before the season starts, but I think for the most part, we are revving up for some actual baseball now.
Which I could not wait any longer. It was like the time
Same.
I've been waiting for since the end of baseball season, and that was before I reached my goal. And now I get to go into my first full baseball season with the goals being reached, and excited to cover as many games as possible. Now, before we get into our show, let's welcome our commenters. We got our presidential candidate for 2024, Mr. Joe Biden.
Joe.
He recognizes me as a YouTuber, I guess. Well, I hope that in your commercial, mention the Rooftop Sports in there, and you got to pay me like a huge sum. So let's talk after the show and let's negotiate something. Next, we got our favorite criticizer. We got
Flick.
Yeah, Flick must have said something. Well, we got Flick, our buddy who loves to give me the constructive, sarcastic criticism. Reflect the Sun, been one of the best fans in this show.
Yep.
That's
I'm
about
laughing
it.
at the comments.
Oh my gosh. Go, wow, Joe's in the house. That's amazing. He's up past his bedtime. Probably eating his Jello. Oh man, these jokes. Well, I just hope that the Everett guy who is going over my channel right now, I hope that he's not watching this because he'll be like, oh, he doesn't like, who knows? Which, by the way, I did give Everett Aquasocks a call to see if I can help promote their tickets, because I'm about the idea of promoting more minor league baseball, get people into those games. Let's get our baseball players paid just a little bit more. I don't know, give them like free meals every single day. I don't know. I don't know what they get. Or maybe like give them a free gas reimbursement or something, because sometimes when you go, oh, you're in Everett. Oh yeah, you got to go down to Texas for AA. Yeah, good luck. Hopefully whatever I can do, I can get more benefits for those baseball players and anyone who works there. But anyways, getting way off topic, we're going to go over 3 key topics because, let's be honest, there's like nothing to talk about. We've already talked about like off-season predictions and like how's the off-season going. And even you see Mojo and like Couch GM, they're even coming up with like big ideas to get something going. And I'm here just trying to get some more nostalgic content, which I am planning to get something released by Friday. So stay tuned for that. But here are the 3 topics. We've got the current slow free agency, bold predictions, and Mariners prospects that we will talk about. So let's go into free agency. Now, before we even get into that, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification. And when you get the opportunity, let's get over to J Trident Podcast and get his YouTube channel also subscribed and liked. And I'll go ahead and send the link in case that you haven't, for whatever reason, subscribe to him. But I would imagine with the audience that we have right now, I would hope that you guys are subscribed to him. But there's the link. There you go. Enjoy it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep, of course. And now, free agency. Can we all agree that this has been the slowest free agency that I have ever seen in recent history? Like, yes, Otani was gone, but right after that, you didn't really hear anything much after that. It felt like that the second free agent signing that baseball did was that Mitch Garver signing, but that's about it. But yeah, Blake Snell is still on. Cody Bellinger is still on. So, what do you think, Trident? Like, what's your thoughts on this? That there are quite a bit of big name free agents that are just no one's really like talking to them that much, unless you're John Morosi, probably throwing out a bunch of rumors. And there was that lady Twitter that was like saying, "Oh, the Mariners are talking to Blake Snell," but they got it wrong with the Padres last month with that Korean guy, or 2 months ago.
Yeah, that was what was that person's name? Jenna Taylor or Genital. It was supposed to be like genitals. That was
Oh
the
my
person's
God.
name that posted on Twitter. But no, and there's still like Jordan Montgomery's still out there, who's a decent starting pitching option. And I'm blanking right now, but you mentioned Snell, Bellinger. There's others that are still out there, as well. So there's, I think, a couple things with it. You got Scott Boras clients like Cody Bellinger. Boras is going to try to get the most money. And I think there is some questions with some of these free agents. I look at, Snell and Bellinger in particular. Obviously, they're Major League Baseball players. They are going to be somewhere in 2024 on a Major League roster. There's no doubt. But with Cody Bellinger, we've talked about it before. There are legitimate questions about a guy that had a great year and a one-year deal last year, and then prior to that was pretty bad for a couple of years. So I think teams are hesitant to want to throw 5-6 year deals, at players like that. So I think there's that kind of struggle. Blake Snell a little bit. Now, I think Snell has been a lot more consistent than Bellinger, but even Snell, I think, is wanting to be paid like a Cy Young winner, and he's very Robbie Ray-ish to me. Now, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm still all for it. If they want to sign Blake Snell, cool. I sign me up. But I do think there's probably some hangups there with the contracts where, these guys want $200 million or something close to that. And teams are like, listen, you're more of a number 2, number 3 starter. And with Cody Bellinger, they're probably more like, dude, you were really bad a couple of years ago. So I'm sure they're saying it nicer than that. The comments are cracking me up, by the way. But I think that's really the struggle there. And then, yeah, but you hit the nail on the head. It's been a weird free agency that this year. It has not been very active outside of the Dodgers, truthfully. There just has not been a lot of movement. Then, once injuries happen too in spring training, you'll probably see some movement as well.
Yeah, it's like it seems like the Dodgers were the only ones making the moves, and the way they did it, they were pretty much just trolling the entire league, going, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna give these backhanded deals, like these completely backloaded deals, very backloaded, and they got these players for cheap, at least for the front end part of it. But aside from that, we don't see anything else." And I can see why the hesitations, like you said, that Blake Snell could be another Robbie Ray. And I do think that if Blake Snell was actually on the Mariners, I don't think he would be a number 1 guy. I think I would put him like as a 2 or a 3 guy. And then after that, what would the Mariners do with Brian Wu or Bryce Miller? Will they trade him away for another bat, which the Mariners absolutely need? Preferably in the outfield. I think the infield can work itself out because Mariners do have a couple prospects in Tyler Locklear and Ryan Bliss, who I think both of them, depending how they do in spring training, maybe that they will be able to step up. And that's why maybe the Mariners haven't really done terribly too much aside from that Polanco trade and Luis Urias. But outfield, I would like to see the Mariners do something. And this is where I think maybe this slow free agent market might help the Mariners because Blake Snell and Cody Bellinger, they're Scott Boras clients, and Scott Boras is like, yeah, I got you. We're going to get you the highest price possible. And now look where they are. It seems that every day, unless something really happens, it seems that maybe they'll be cheaper. Maybe I'm wrong, but if they are cheaper, just in terms of value and just the fact that it's getting too close to the season, then maybe the Mariners will sneak in and get Cody Bellinger and Blake Snell. Like what I could see happen is maybe they will sign 1-year deals because no one was really willing to sign them. And maybe that's where the Mariners pop in and go, hey, let's do a 1-year deal. And if you can help the Mariners get to the World Series and win the World Series, or at least make the playoffs, that will make you guys attractive free agents. Because look at Cody and Blake Snell. What also didn't help them, but I don't think it should have made an effect, but maybe if you saw the Cubs make the playoffs and the Padres actually play above the expectations, maybe the Mariners or maybe the free agents market would have worked out for them. Now, yes, Shohei Ohtani didn't make the playoffs and didn't even finish the season. But granted, what's his name again? Shohei Ohtani. I mean, it's Shohei Ohtani. The guy can pitch at least next year. And the guy has an amazing bat that we haven't seen in quite some time. So I'm thinking that the longer that these two free agents don't sign anything, maybe that's where the Mariners can take advantage of that. And maybe they will load up and imagine Cody Bellinger anywhere in the outfield and imagine Blake Snell with that scary looking starting pitching, because even with just Brian Wu and Bryce Miller, who are a bit raw talent, I mean, it's already a scary rotation. And then look at our bullpen. We have the three-headed monsters of Matt Brash. We got Andres Munoz and George Santos. Like, if they could be consistent, it could easily be a top 3 bullpen in baseball, if not the best bullpen in baseball. But it all comes down to the bat. And I do think that hopefully, I really hope that this slow free agency really does help the Mariners, and maybe they will sign them to these little dinky 1-year contracts, or maybe a 2-year contract, or anything like that, or maybe a contract where they don't have to overpay. But let's be real, I don't think Blake Snell and Cody Bellinger are going to take, if they're going to take a lengthy contract, I don't think they're just going to settle for like, oh yeah, I'll take a discount. No, they really feel that they should be getting the big money. And Bellinger, had he haven't had those 2 terrible years, he would have easily been like maybe a similar contract, not like Mike Trout level, but would have been close. And then Blake Snell, I guess they're scared of that whole Robbie Ray situation where he had that one bad year with the Mariners. Okay, it wasn't bad. He still got the strikeouts, but he wasn't exactly consistent. But then he got injured. So maybe that's where they're hesitant. And the fact that he is at above 30 years old. So hopefully and ultimately, maybe the slow free agent market can help the Mariners maybe sign in 1 or 2 of those players and get the Mariners loaded up into the 2024 season. And I'm going to say hot take on this. I do think that this offseason has been, in some ways, in parts of it, has been better than last season. Because last season, all they did was sign Teoscar Hernandez, or they traded for Teoscar Hernandez and nothing else. At least this one, they made some adjustments. They erased the 400 strikeouts from Eugenio and Teo. But then, after that, they made some nice little sneaking moves. If they work, everyone's healthy, and if they perform.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the longer the free agency goes, the better it is for a team like the Mariners. I don't think they'll end up getting either of those guys. I don't think they're going to give big money to a pitcher, because I think they're going to not that the Robbie Ray deal, I don't even think was that bad, but I think they're going to be like, hey, we gave big money. Robbie Ray didn't really work out. We're going to have to pay Kirby. We're going to have to pay Logan Gilbert. We're going to have to, those guys, even Wu and Miller, if they develop. So I don't think they're going to go after. And I do think Snell's going to get a pretty big deal. I do. I think Blake Snell's going to get a fairly substantial multi-year deal. May not be exactly what he's looking for in terms of money, but I do expect him to get something big. Bellinger, I don't think they're going to end up with Cody Bellinger, but I do think it's more realistic that he could have to do another one-year deal, or like something where there's a club option for the second year or something like that, because I think teams are just very hesitant based on his past year. So, but like you said, the longer it goes, the better for teams like the Mariners that are not forking out big money, at least to free agents. And then in terms of the offseason, I actually, again, I'll always say it's like the ownership gets an F. They always do. Like, I would love to see the checkbooks opened up a lot more. You know what I mean? It's a shame that, Mitch Garver's really the only big free agency signing they can make. But in terms of the trades, and based on what the limitations I believe the ownership has for the front office, I think they did a really nice job. I think Polanco is a huge upgrade at second base, and they actually will. Although I thought Colton Wong would be too, so you never know. But I think that gives them a legitimate second base option. The bullpen is absolutely loaded on the back end. You hope for a little bounce back from Mitch Haniger, and hopefully platooning him, maybe keeping him, will keep him fresh and healthy. I do like the Mitch Garver signing. You now have a DH. You're not going into the year where it's like, well, we kind of want to move the position around, and then Tommy LaStella gets your opening day DH nod. So you've got a legit full-time DH. Luke Raley was a really good hitter last year. He's in the mix now. Getting Polanco also allows you to platoon Urias and Rojas, and I get if people don't love that at third base, but it's certainly better than Urias at third and Rojas at second as full-time players. So you should get, a big boost there. One area that, one position that doesn't get talked about a lot that I don't think they're going to upgrade, but man, it would have been nice. Backup catcher. I know Tom Murphy had some injury issues, and I think he ended up signing with San Francisco. And it stunk because I'll still maintain in September, low key, I think the loss of Tom Murphy was really, really a lot bigger than some people think, because you had to throw Brian O'Keefe out there. They went and got Luis Torrens. Cal's playing every day now. I think they might have made the playoffs if Murphy stayed healthy. And Zavala is a nice defensive catcher, good framer, good defensive guy, not much of the bat. I saw Flick's comment about Garver catching. I think maybe as the year goes along, if Garver can stay healthy, they may mix him in there, but I don't think until like May or June we'll see anything like that. So I'm a little concerned about that position, to be honest. But I mean, if my biggest, and I'm not saying that's the only area of concern for the Mariners, but if backup catcher is like the biggest beef, then I mean, that's, not the end of the world.
No, I agree with you on that one. Like, losing Tom Murphy at the end of that season was absolutely devastating, because he actually was arguably a top three most efficient hitters in our team. Like, other than Tom Murphy, the best hitters on the team, they were all strikeout kings. You got Julio Rodriguez he looked like he was trying to murder the ball. And you got Eugenio Suarez, guarantees strikeout. And then Teoscar Hernandez also guarantees strikeout. So yeah, with Tom Murphy there, he could have came up with some clutch hits, and Cal Raleigh wouldn't have had to play as much as he did. But hopefully, yeah, Mariners can find or figure out anything in the catcher, unless do they want to call up Harry Ford? But for someone that just finished the season in A+ with Everett, I don't see it happening, unless what really has to happen, he has to completely basically do very well in spring training. And in the first half, he probably has to hit like a 500 batting average to even cause a conversation, or to even allow him to sit in the bench and vibe with the team, which I don't know if anyone's ever heard of doing that. I'm going to go off topic, but I remember in 2019, I was like talking with one of my friends when they were tanking. I was like, hey, we should call up Julio and Jared. We suck anyway. Let them play. And then my friend's like, no, we can't do that. And I go, okay, come on. Just one game. Just let them sit on the bench, or just take batting practice with the major league team and just vibe with them. Anyways. So yeah, hopefully catcher will be resolved, or Zebi Zavalda, whatever his name is. Hopefully he figures it out.
And Flick is right in the comments. He said a lot of players were worn out in the last month. And I really did. It did feel like that, didn't it, with the Mariners last year in September? They had that great August. And I know it was bad teams, but I don't care. You got to beat bad teams to win. But they really looked worn down in September. Cal's playing every day. I will say, I think this team's a little bit better in the depth department for sure. Even with some of those platoons like Rojas, Urias. Okay, like, maybe one's hot, you just play them through it. You let them play the hot streak out. So you do have some more depth pieces this year. You've still got Haggerty and Dylan Moore that can help out and play some of these positions. Like I said, maybe Mitch Haniger platooning, to start would be what I would do. Then if he shows he's back to at least 2022 Haniger, he can start playing more every day. A Ty France bounce back would be huge for this team. I do think the depth is a little bit better here. That hopefully, will be solved for 2024. But I agree again with Flick too. The injuries and Rooftop, you mentioned that as well. A lot of it's going to be guys staying healthy. I like a lot of the moves they made, but Garver, Haniger, Polanco are all injury risks. Now, you could make a case every player's an injury risk, but they've shown it. They have not played a lot of full seasons of baseball. So there is definitely, some question marks, but I do think overall they've done a good job. And I do think this team can compete. I do. I do think this team can win the division. Will they? Don't know. I'm not going to say yeah, they're 100% doing it. But I do think if everybody plays their potential, they can 100% do it.
And stay healthy. And I just couldn't help but kind of dark laugh at this. But Haniger, flick of the switch says, Haniger probably going to dislocate his shoulder putting on his jersey. I could unfortunately see that. And don't forget, he's also had Mitch Haniger's had some of the weirdest injuries ever. Like, if anyone remembers in 2019, he basically hurt his balls. And I remember when I was making that timeline video where I just blindly typed, Mitch Haniger had this. And I had a couple friends laughing at me going, you literally just put in, he broke his balls, basically. Like, did you even pay attention? I was like, no. And I was like, oh, when I saw, I was like, oh, great. That's what I did. That's exactly what I said. Flick of the switch, ruptured his. We're just going to leave it at that.
Well, you did. I think that's true.
But I think that will do it for the free agency part, as we still got 2 more parts to go. This one I think is going to be a little bit more of a fun thing, because what else in the world are we going to talk about? Now I understand why all these other mainstreamers out there come up with very stupid talking points, because what else are they going to talk about? Well, here's what I talk about. Talk about some history. Roll out some nostalgic stuff. Wait, they probably already do that. But we're going to go into bold predictions. Now, here's what we're going to do. Now, fans, go put in your predictions. Just type them in there. And if we like any of them, we'll read them. Maybe we'll read all of them. Oh, great. Flick has a side note. Okay, whatever. So here's the bold predictions going to be. Oh God. Yep, of course. Yeah, we're all happy about that. Unless you're a Taylor Swift hater and a 49ers fan, then you had a horrible day.
That is not a side note. That is a top of the line note.
This one's funny. There's no good thing to talk about with the Mariners. Well, anyways, we're gonna go into our.
They've got me. I'm.
Yeah,
the Mariners
they do.
Have us. They've captured us. Like, there's nothing we
did
can
it
do.
Again. But yes, bold predictions. Going to be 3 of them from each of us. And Trident, since you have more subscribers than I do, Trident, give me your first prediction. And of course, we can't piggyback off of each other. We got to come up with something different every single time. So, Trident, what is your first bold prediction?
Well, I don't have any numbers for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like prediction in terms of, I think these will be the numbers. But I will say this is my first one. I think Brian Wu is going to be a legitimate, I don't want to know what number I'll put it into, but a top line rotation pitcher. I think he's going to be the guy that really takes the biggest step forward on the pitching staff. And I think we're going to look at him maybe even similar to the way we look at a Logan Gilbert. I won't say Kirby, just because with Kirby's how much he limits walks, I don't think Wu will ever be there. But I do think that Brian Wu is going to be, as long as he stays healthy, like all these guys, I do think that Brian Wu is going to have a really big season and be someone that we're going to look back and go, man, we wanted the Mariners to sign another pitcher. And I'm saying that's someone that has advocated that. So I'm not calling anybody out. I'm calling myself out. But I think we're going to look back and like, man, thank God they did it, because Brian Wu is going to be a legitimate weapon. That's my first bold prediction. I don't have any numbers. I'm, mid 3s ERA and 180 innings.
My first bold prediction is going to be Mitch Haniger has a healthy season. Now, everyone is not going to believe me whatsoever. I don't even believe in myself on this. But the reason why I think Mitch Haniger has a somewhat healthy season is because he's playing in a much more limited role. He'll probably play a lot more in the DH. He'll play more platooning because the last time he was consistently injured was because he had a more consistent role. He was their everyday outfielder in the years in his first time with the Mariners. In 2017, he was a regular. Through 2022, he was a regular, but he had a lot of injured seasons with the exception of 2018 and 2021, and they were both very good years, especially 2021. Imagine if we could get the 21 Haniger, which I don't think is going to happen, but maybe if you get something like maybe like a 2018 Mitch Haniger, then at least that will be a huge part of this offense, and it will make it feel like that Jerry Dipoto was a genius for being able to pull off that trade to offload the injured Robbie Ray. So not asking for a 2021 Mitch Haniger season, but maybe around like a 2018 season where he has like a low 20 home run season. And he doesn't have to necessarily hit like 40 bombs. He just has to be healthy and just consistent. So I think Mitch Haniger will have a healthy season just only because of the role he has been given.
All right, I like it, love it. My second one, and I don't know if this is necessarily how bold this is, because I think most people would probably say, yeah, I can see that happening. But one of those low-key bullpen signings, whether it's Kirby Snead, Jackson Kowar, that was a trade. Who else did they sign? That guy from the Angels, I don't remember his name, the other lefty that they signed. The guy they got from the Pirates in the beginning of the offseason, Austin Voth, the guy they got, or Voth, the guy they got from the Orioles. At least one or two of those guys is going to play a huge, huge role for the Mariners in 2024. Every year, the bullpen, remember in 22, we were like, oh man, you got Diego Castillo, Swanson, Penn Murphy, Matt Festa, like we're and then Munoz and Brash. Now Munoz, Brash, we know they'll be staples. Santos will be there as well. But I do think that, a lot of those guys are kind of on the fringe. I don't mean this maliciously because I love them, but guys like Taylor Saucedo, like, wouldn't be the craziest thing if he took a step back this year or something like that. Trent Thornton got some good strikeout numbers, gives up a lot of home runs. Maybe he takes a step back. And one of these guys that we didn't even do a video on, just kind of go, yeah, they're in the minor league system. At least one of those guys is going to have a huge role for the Mariners. And we're going to be sitting here going, man, how about Kirby Snead? I'm just using him as an example, but how about how big's he been? The same way we talked about Topa and Spire last season.
What about Vargas off of the Eugenio Suarez trade?
Yeah,
There's been
that's another
nice
one.
talks about him too.
There's been so many they've added to the pile that I forget the names at times. But yep, another one. One or two of those guys is going to be someone big in this bullpen for the Mariners.
Hopefully that's true, because that's what the Mariners usually do. Is they usually end up but what they basically do in the bullpen, they probably go in the streets of Seattle in the crappiest parts going, hey, you right there. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah, you're the pitcher, man. Yeah, come on. Here's $1 million, or here's something non-guaranteed. That's probably, maybe it happened at least once. They went into those streets of Seattle going, yeah, you're our pitcher. That's not true. That's just more dramatized, but it just feels that
it's a little, but they do a good job of it. They've done a nice job with a lot of these guys. And, I definitely think at least one of them will be someone that in July, August will be going, oh man, thank God for Vargas. Thank God for Snead. I think Diaz was the guy they got from the Angels. Jonathan Diaz. I don't remember. Thank God for Kowar. There's going to be someone that we're going to be like, man, good thing we got them. So that's my second bold prediction.
All right. Now I got to come up with a second bold prediction myself. And this will be a tough one. It's really tough already. Like, I'm almost tempted to have you come up with a third one. But yeah,
it's tough. And I don't even know how bold the bullpen one was. I think most people would probably agree with that, but just something.
I guess I will say, okay, this is going to be a very dark. Okay, that's not actually no,
It
that
could,
prediction's gonna be. I was gonna say like
it
everyone's
could
gonna
be
be injured,
negative.
but like everyone kind of expects
Could be.
that.
But I mean, it could be. I mean, listen, I'm trying to keep it positive, for mine, but we could do our three positive and then one negative bold predict. And it's not so much like a prediction, it's more something that I think is possible. I don't know if that's a good way to put it.
I
So we
got
could look at it
one.
like that. Yeah.
I got one. And I will say this that Julio Rodriguez will somewhere, some way, be in the contention for MVP
You took mine.
because look at the situation that they have. The outfielding is not exactly promising. Like, there's just so many question marks. Like, can Luke Raley actually work out? Can Mitch Haniger be healthy? Can Dominic Canzone actually step up? I'm going to say because of the situation around him, maybe he will be motivated to actually take it to the MVP level. And yes, it's just a post on social media, but he says he desires to get the Mariners to the World Series as he was in the Super Bowl. But yeah, actions speak louder than words and talk is cheap. But Julio Rodriguez, I don't doubt him at all. Like, I don't doubt his work ethic. He really does work at his game. And yes, he won't have Eugenio Suarez, but maybe that absence of leadership maybe gets him to be like, well, maybe he's got to be the leader because I don't see any of the other leaders on the team aside that we had from Eugenio Suarez. Maybe Mitch Haniger steps up,
Mitch
but that
Haniger.
team is still very young. So maybe Julio, he steps up this time and actually he matures. He bats a bit better. He doesn't just go after bad pitches all the time like he always does, or he just tries to swing in a way where it's a home run. So maybe he will, and I do, maybe he will get to that MVP level. So that's my number 2 is Julio Rodriguez is in contention for MVP.
That was going to be mine. Sorry, I got to switch it up now. I will go with. All right, I'll go really bold here. I'm going to go bold where the bolds have not gone before. Cal Raleigh will be in the MVP discussion as well. Being a catcher, I think he's going to put up a big season, and I think based on positional value and stuff, I'll say Cal Raleigh is in the MVP conversation this season. Even I'm not sure how much I believe that one, but this is bold predictions, so I'm going to be really bold, and I'll go with that.
I like that. Because Cal Raleigh, he's rising to be one of the leaders. Maybe he's like, okay, you know what? I got to step up because ownership ain't going to save me. So I'm going to save this team myself. And yeah, he does have a great defense. Yeah, it feels like that he doesn't throw out but as many people as we think, but the numbers do say that he does throw out quite a bit. It only feels like he doesn't just only because stealing bases has become much more easier because of that pitch clock. So I do like that prediction. And now my third one, and I do have it, and it did come out of my butt. Mariners win the division. I know it's crazy.
I should have done that.
I know it's crazy. It's a lot. It's very much out of my character to say that. But here's reasons why they may do it. So let's see why. The Texas Rangers, they literally had basically a perfect season. Aside from Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer going down in injuries, they had the most perfect possible season where everyone achieved. Basically, everyone was healthy. You got Adolis Garcia being the hero, and although he went down in injury, it didn't matter because the Texas Rangers won. And also, the playoffs was a joke because all the top seeders went down, and all Texas was left was Arizona Diamondbacks. Yeah, great. And then Houston. We haven't heard anything about their young players going into the major leagues or any exciting prospects. Like, you don't hear anyone from Houston. And I don't even know if the Astros even have a top 100 prospect in their system right now. And I'm going to check right now and see if they do have anything for 2024. Like when I searched it, there's nothing. Now, granted, they don't really know for 2024, but for the top 100, I don't even see Houston in that list at all. So they don't have any prospects in their top 100, while the Mariners do have a few. Now, Texas do have some good prospects themselves, and that's Evan Carter, but he's already played. But if Houston starts to age out, and if Texas doesn't have that perfect season, and if Angels somehow, like, I don't think anyone expects the Angels to do anything unless Anthony Rendon is magically healthy and Ron Washington can lead the team, or if the Oakland A's can somehow pull a money ball out of their butts again, like they did in 2011, or, well, granted, that was a good team anyway, or maybe they do pull it out of their butts. Who knows? But Mariners may have an open ticket to win the American League West Division. So I'm not saying it will happen. I do expect them at best to finish in the wild card or be somewhere in the 80s win team. Hopefully not the 70s, but I won't be surprised if that happens. But if everything goes the Mariners' way, including all the outside factors, maybe the Mariners sneak into the playoffs as an AL West Division champion. So that is my Those are my three predictions, or bold predictions, shall I say.
I like it. I definitely think this team can win the division. Hey, listen, last year was not a success. I'm not going to claim it was. They did not make playoffs after a playoff season. That's not good. But at the end of the day, they were finished 2 games back in the division. This team was leading the division at some point in September, I think. Definitely through August. They were in first place. I mean, they were not. I think people do forget it because Texas went on the run, won the World Series. Houston got to the ALCS, so they were becoming farther removed from the Mariners, who didn't make it. But this team did not finish far behind these teams. It's not crazy. You could replay last season with all the, despite trading Sewald, despite Colton Wong being garbage, despite AJ Pollock not doing anything. You could replay. We could go back to 3 or 4 games, and every team can do this. And we could put the Mariners as division winners. Like, there was easily the Reds game that they were up 6-0 that they blew. The bases loaded, nobody out against the Angels, I think the next week, that they didn't win. You win those 2 games, and I don't know what the tiebreakers would have been. And they would have had it because they won the season series with the Astros. Again, Astros could do that too. They could go, well, we win these games and then we have more wins. So I usually hate doing that, but they were not far last year from winning this division. So they absolutely can.
Or maybe if Canzone and Kelnick play a little bit more in their last 10-game stretch and not play the platoon game, maybe they could have squeaked it by. And all they needed was just that one stinking game out of all of them. You pick any of them, it would easily be fixed. But I don't know. But those are the predictions we've got, where you said Brian Wu does maybe all-star level. Someone out of the bullpen becomes a flamethrower. Cal Raleigh MVP, and I said Julio MVP. Mitch Haniger has a healthy season. And Mariners winning the American League West. And that is it for our bold predictions. And now we're getting into the last part of the show, and that's going to be talking about Mariners prospects. Now, before we get into Mariners prospects, let's take a look at all these comments and see if we got anything. All I saw was a bunch of fighting going around, and sorry, I can't police any of you guys. Like, no matter how abusive it is, I'm not the guy to block or cancel anyone like other YouTubers do that, because people should be allowed to say as much as they want. The internet is a space where everyone can express themselves. So, yep, you guys take care of that yourselves. Now let's go into prospects. Now, I would go over the one with the mini camp list, but that's like all the young prospects. But I'll go over it really quickly with notable prospects that they got in the mini camp that I actually care about. I've got Colt Emerson, Felnine Celestine, Ty Pete, Ben Williamson, Lazaro Montez, my most favorite prospect out of all of them, and Johnny Farmelo. those are the most notable named ones. Now, it's just a Mariners minor league mini camp, so it's pretty unlikely that you'll see many action out of them in spring training, but you never know. Anything can happen. Like we saw Lazaro Montez at least get a at bat, and he did draw a walk. So maybe, who knows? But the one I'm most excited to see is maybe social media clips of Felny and Celestine. Any of those players that stick out to you that you may be excited for to see if they get just to see anything on a video where they'll say, hey, check out this guy.
No, I think all the guys you mentioned, it's going to be cool to see them get some experience in spring training. I'm assuming Harry Ford will be there as well. So no, I mean, none of those guys will make the team, obviously, but it's very cool that they're going to get that kind of, a little bit of big league experience. I'm going to be going to some spring training games, so it'll be cool to see some of those guys in person. It'll be cool to see them get some at bats against, well, it may not be against major leaguers. It may be against some minor leaguers once they get in the games. But, it's one of the fun things about spring training is getting to see some of those guys, take their at bats. I don't put really any stock into spring training unless it's someone like tinkering, like Bryce Miller throwing the splitter. That's something I'm really interested to see because we need Bryce Miller this year. So assuming there's no trades or anything. So that's something that's like important. But with these young guys, just kind of enjoying them and hopefully seeing the next wave of young, exciting Mariners players that will be here for, years to come.
Yeah, let's hope for the best that any of these guys will work out and hopefully be the future of the Mariners because like I've been telling everyone that the best prospects right now the Mariners have are not even drinking right now. Like they're not even old enough to drink. So
They were
that's
born like
why
2005.
yeah. And it's not like we have any prospects that I expect to step up to the major league level except maybe Ryan Bliss and Tyler Locklear or whoever the Mariners signed as a minor league contract for the bullpen. But that's about it. So it's going to be years. So if I were you, Mariner fans, start buying tickets to go to Everett if you're in Washington to go to those games because I expect Lazaro Montez to start there. I expect maybe Cole Young finishes out, or if he does well in spring training, maybe he will go straight to AA, which he's been doing very well in the farm system. And same with Harry Ford. And now let's go into spring training where this is the non-roster invitees. The most notable ones are looking at pitchers. None of them I really recognize or care about. I know I should. We got Harry Ford as catcher. Obviously, that's not a surprise. We got Ryan Bliss, Tyler Locklear, Cole Young. Those are going to be the notable ones. You don't really see any outfield that may or may not have a future, but I expect, I would pay most attention to Ryan Bliss and Tyler Locklear because Tyler Locklear, he finished the season in AA, and Ryan Bliss did very well in AAA. So maybe if he does well in spring training, maybe Ryan Bliss gets an opening day roster spot. As for Tyler Locklear, maybe more like second half, or if some freak injury happens, which, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised because what if Ty France goes down in injury, doesn't perform? What if Luis Urias doesn't really do much? Because Tyler Locklear is also a third baseman too. So I would pay attention to both those guys in spring training and see if they are effective enough to get to that major league level. Any thoughts on the spring training?
Yeah. I think those are the guys, Bliss, Locklear, that have the opportunity that like they could be a part of the Mariners in 2024. You know what I mean? I think those are the guys, Emerson Hancock, those are guys that will actually contribute this season more than likely. I don't know if outside of injury, I don't see a path to them making the opening day roster, especially with Haggerty and Moore still here, but I think Bliss will be first up if something goes awry, if, someone gets hurt, and someone always does get hurt. So, I think Bliss will be first up, and I would expect maybe after the All-Star break, Tyler Locklear, depending on how he does, I'm assuming in Tacoma, for this season. So I think we could see him second half of the year. Again, a lot of it depends on like the current players. If everything's going well, then, there's a chance they don't. I think Bliss for sure at some point will be on the team. I don't know when, but I'd be shocked if he doesn't play a little bit this year. And the rest of them, it just really depends on, what the current team does. If Ty France can't get it together, then, he may be gone. If that Rojas Urias platoon doesn't work out, then, whoever's not working out may be gone. And then just the injuries and everything as well. And yeah, like I said, not a lot of outfield prospects. I mean, Taylor Trammell, he's not a prospect anymore, but he's still in the organization. But I don't think he will be for long, though, because I think he's out of options. So if he doesn't make the team, which is possible, he could, he will likely be off the roster.
I don't think he's even a tradable asset either. I think, he does well in AAA, but he's already got the exposure in Major League where he is basically a quadruple A player. So maybe the Mariners just say screw it and just cut him loose. And the worst part of that, it's not like the Mariners really have that much depth in the outfield. Like there's Jonathan Clase, who is also another prospect, but I don't expect him to really do much for the Mariners. And let's take a look at Jonathan Clase stats, because right now outfield may be a little bit more wide open for the prospects if anyone wants to take a spot. But right now he's gotten to at most Arkansas. He does strike out quite a bit. In this 2023 season, he struck out 165 times in 129 games. He did make up for it with 82 walks, but then when you put that into the major league level, it's pretty hard to like even keep those on par, and those walk counts might go down because you're talking about a much bigger competition. So I don't think Jonathan Clase may. I mean, I'd see Cade Marlowe getting more of a role, but we don't know. But as of now, I think the competition for outfield may not be as intense to at least get a spot. Not for the starting spot, because that's going to be taken by, I expect it to be taken by Dominic Canzone, Mitch Haniger, Julio Rodriguez, and Luke Raley. So we will see, but everything else is kind of up in the air. We'll just have to see how the spring training goes.
Yeah, the outfield is more of the kind of the 4A players. I shouldn't call Canzone that, but it's kind of guys like, Canzone, Cade Marlowe, like I like Canzone better. I think he's the better, prospect. I put that in quotes because they're not really prospects anymore. But yeah, it's a lot of guys like that. And then Flick asked the question about the backup plan at first base if Ty doesn't work out. Does Tyler Locklear have some experience playing first base? Is that somewhere he could go? That's where my lack of knowledge on the minors.
Let me take a look at that, because it says that he's either a first baseman or a third baseman. So let's take a look and see how he even did. And he is known to be a power hitting hitter with supposedly solid plate discipline. He does walk quite a bit.
Yeah, Locklear would probably be the answer. Short term, if it's something really just like, hey, we need a few games, I mean, you could probably move some of those infielders around like Urias and Dylan Moore and do something there. But I would think, and Rooftop's looking it up, but I would think Locklear would be the guy at first base.
If he even pans out in spring training to even warrant it. But here's what I got. So mostly in 2022, he played third baseman, but then he did suffer an injury throughout last season. So he got relegated to he got moved to the first base spot. So maybe he will be that backup plan for Ty France. But that's if Ty France goes injured or just underperforms. But hopefully he is using that same workout trainer that JP Crawford used. So hopefully that makes a difference. But aside from that, we haven't really heard much. But you can't really guarantee that just because he had one maybe good training, it's going to magically work out, because if that's the case, then that guy would be overwhelmed and he would have a much bigger name to himself. Maybe JP Crawford got a little bit lucky and worked out. And don't forget, he has a better plate discipline than Ty France does. Ty France just swings into double plays. At least JP Crawford, he takes like 10 strikes to strike out.
I'm so pumped for the season. I'm not saying that sarcastically. I am. And then Ty France is going to hit into that double play. And I'm just going to go, yep, baseball's back. That first Ty France double
That's
play.
what we're gonna feel. Which is why I'm gonna make a video where it starts with the Dave Niehaus "Welcome back, baseball." Well, it's gonna be like the very beginning parts, and I'm just gonna go cutthroat and go, "Hey, yeah, here's the reality check." So Mariners infield is very iffy. They could be injured prone, and the outfield, I can't really depend on Dominic Canzone to pan out, and Mitch Haniger might get hurt. So yeah, before you guys get too excited, here is the reality check for you. Okay, ready for baseball? Let's get into baseball. That's what it's gonna be. That's gonna be my intro video before it all starts. And then of course you'll see that nostalgic 1997 MLB on Fox thing I do. And by the way, I thought I'd just throw it out there. You notice that those two really big sounds in my baseball intro, the Fox intro thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they are both sounds from Star Wars with the Slave One, Jango Fett or Boba Fett's Slave One flying by. That's what the sounds are from.
Is it really?
Yes.
Wow. That's pretty. I did not know that. I just thought it was the Fox theme all the way through.
No, I modified it because in
nice.
In the original footage there was a little bit of a hiccup in the sound, so I put the original music in there and put the sounds to make it sound a lot better. So maybe I shouldn't have revealed that secret, but I guess I did.
It's a little mashup. I like it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
I'm excited for baseball just so I can do a stupid introduction video where I slap Mariner fans into reality, because everyone's going to watch that Dave Niehaus "Welcome Back, Baseball" thing. And I'm going to be the one going, yes, welcome back, baseball, but be aware of all these things.
Well, and listen, we should be. I'm optimistic as anybody. I think this team's going to win the division. I think they're going to be good. I think they've got a chance. But it is kind of like we all hype ourselves up in the off season, and then you get, like I said, that they're going to get in the season. A couple guys reach base, and boom, that Ty France double play. And it's like, oh yeah, like not
welcome
everybody's
back,
just
baseball.
magical. Yeah. You mean they're not
That's
all going to have a 180 WRC plus this year?
That's what I'm going to do. Ty France, no, it goes, and here's Ty France, and here's a ground ball and double play, and welcome back, baseball. So
no, it's all fun. Part of the. I'm just laughing at Reflect's comment.
Oh, Reflect the Sun. Yes, I guess Mr. President did fall asleep. Nobody saw that happening. Well, I did. I mean, I can't really talk about it much because don't forget, I'm probably under the radar now of that Aqua Sox man of like, oh, he's talking about Paul. Nah, let's not get him. He's not worth our time. I don't care how excited he is.
The Rooftop Trident November election live stream is going to be a banger for everybody.
What do you think of that idea? Now we have like 7 minutes left. Even if you like, what if we did like everything like objectively, like we have to bite our teeth, or is your heart rate going to be way too much?
It won't be. Like at the end of the day, I try, no matter what. I'm not going to get into like reveal too much, but like I don't care all that much. Like I still got my family, still have the Seahawks going on, so I'll get over whatever it is. But I don't know. I just don't really want. The reason I did this was to get away from stuff like that, you know what I mean? To kind of have an escape. So I I would actually like love to do it, to be honest, but it would almost have to be like another channel I'd have to make. And then, I don't know.
Then there's no point of that because then,
no,
you don't. And it's kind of pointless because once you build something, it's like, now you kind of have that feeling of, oh, maybe I should do this. And you don't.
Right.
So.
And then I'll lose people here. You know what? I don't want to do that. I really try to stay out of that stuff for the most part. So it would be fun. Like it would honestly be super fun to do it. But I'd probably pass.
Yeah, huge pass. For me, it's like it's like very up in the air. Well, it really depends on many things. Now, if I have a lot of things going for me on YouTube, probably not. Now, if I was in my pre 1,000 sub stages, I 100% would have done it, just because there's just who cares at that point? And Flick
Yep.
says once you plant
Yep.
your flag, you lose half your subs. Oh, he makes
Yeah,
a very good
he's right.
point.
Yep, Reflect and Flick are both right on that. It's just no good can come of it, like Reflect said. I just at the end of the day, I would either alienate half my subscribers, and I don't want to do that. And like I said, the great thing about sports is that it's not politics. Now it is controversial. I've had some things I've said that have surprisingly stirred people up about, but it's supposed to be fun and a break from that. So I don't need to get into the politics as much as it may be tempted. Ooh, that would be fun.
We were talking about that last night. Like, hey, would you do an NFL draft stream? I totally would, and I think I do have the timing for it. And Mariners game is already going to be over on Thursday. I don't even know if they're playing because I checked the schedule, but I would totally be down to do an NFL draft live stream where we can go. Who should the Seahawks pick? Who should the Seahawks pick? No, they don't pick the quarterback I wanted. We're screwed.
That would be fun. I'm down to do an NFL draft live stream. Actually, that'd be kind of fun. Never done it, but yeah. I mean, honestly, for me, I just don't watch enough college football. I'll know like the first couple rounds. I'll be like, yeah, I know those guys because I'll do some research on it. But man, when you get into the 4th and 5th rounds, and listen, there are some people that do their research and know these guys, but you get so many like casuals who are like, oh, I don't like that guy in the 5th. I'm like, you don't even know who that is. Like, leave it alone. So.
Like Mel Kiper said, I think Richard Sherman will be an average corner, in my opinion. Or Mel Kiper goes, wow, the Colts really messed up by not drafting Trent Dilfer. He would have been the future. And then Bill Topin goes, who the heck is Mel Kiper?
My neighbor's a postman, and he knows more than Mel.
He knows more than Mel Kiper. Maybe, and hey, I would totally be down for the idea. Like, I think I'm gonna set time, just do it, but of course, would prefer another one. So just have ideas bouncing. So, well, now that we have a few minutes left on this show, or maybe even less than a minute, I thought I'd come up with a very random fact about the Mariners. Center fielder Mike Cameron. He actually had a better range factor as a defensive outfielder than Ken Griffey Jr. ever did with his career with the Seattle Mariners. So it is proof that I do think that in a defensive aspect, I do think that Cameron was actually the better player in some parts. Not saying that all of it, but at least it does prove that he had more outfield assist putouts than Ken Griffey Jr. did. Ken Griffey Jr. obviously, I mean, you can't beat the range of his running and like the way he scales the ball. That you can't beat. But Mike Cameron, there were parts where he was able to do more than what Griffey did, and at least he did. And yep, flick of the switch gives me that blasphemy thing. I looked up the stats, man. So don't kill the messenger here. That's who I am.
Isn't it? And again, I'm going to say something too, and don't kill the messenger on this either. Don't a lot of the defensive metrics like not really like Griffey? Like, aren't some of them kind of like actually have him as a pretty, now this may be an indictment on the metrics, but don't a lot of them, and I haven't gone back and looked, but don't a lot of them have him as kind of a meh defensive outfielder or something?
They
like,
really
I don't know. Yeah, they don't. I don't think they love him.
I just hope they're not putting in the Cincinnati numbers because I don't think those should count because he was always injured and past his prime. They better be talking about the Seattle years.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm not even saying I don't agree with that. Like, Griffey was great. I do think it's possible Cameron was a better defensive player. Cameron was pretty, it's just like, what's kind of the old adage that like, and again, not Griffey was great, but like, if you make the diving catches, sometimes it's because of a lack of range. Like, remember Franklin Gutierrez and how good he was. I don't think he made a lot of diving catches, but man, he just glided to the ball so effortlessly. And that was kind of Mike Cameron as well, to be honest. But, you just can't put someone over Griffey. I can't do it. That's just, you could give me all the numbers you want to, and I'm a numbers guy, but I can't. It's just, maybe it's a nostalgic factor, but I can't take anybody over Junior in center field in terms of defensively, man, as a kid watching him. But that is a fun fact.
It really is. Well, I think That's gonna do it for the show. We went over the Mariners free agency, went over bold predictions, went over Mariners prospects. But that's gonna be it. And thank you very much for being part of this show. We had quite the activity in the chats. I feel like that it just keeps on booming, and that is why I'm very excited for the next coming baseball season, where hopefully I will get a lot of engagement. We will get a lot of engagement, especially that opening day, because opening day is going to feel a lot like Christmas. Like, I'm more excited
Yes.
for this season. Like, and even if the Mariners were going to lose 100 games, I'm still excited either way. I don't care. I'm just happy that I get to watch baseball in a very unique way that not many people are willing to do, including yourself.
Well, and I love, the first week, 2 weeks of baseball. I'm watching every team. It's exciting because it's such a long season, and just everybody's got a little bit of hope, right? Like, do I think the A's are going to um, win the World Series? Absolutely not. I don't think they're going to win. I think they might lose 100 games. But even there, like opening day, there is that hope for every team, and it's fun to watch. It is. And just as someone that enjoys the game, like you said, I know you're the same way. I mean, bad baseball is better than no baseball. It's kind of like pizza, I mean, even if the Mariners lose 100, I will have a post-game recap up for every game as long as I'm not deathly ill. If the Mariners are 42-78, there will be a post-game recap. I don't know how many views it'll get, but I will have one up.
Well, it's going to be up to us to be the
Make it
brand,
entertaining.
make it
We'll have
entertaining.
to. If the Mariners just bomb, we're going to have like a marketing meeting for how we're going to make the season fun and entertaining in the second half. I don't think they will. I think even the worst case scenario for this team, they're still going to be competitive. Like, they may not be great, but I think worst case is like worst case is like a 500 team. And even that's still enough to draw you in. But if they just bomb or something, it's going to be, we'll have
So
to
at
do
least
something.
there's always minor league opportunities. Like, if Mariners
Mhm.
are so bad, it's not even worth covering them. Or maybe we cover some more minor league baseball to get some of the prospects. And I do think like 2019 would have been a very fun season because we could have been covering Jared Kelnick and Julio Rodriguez. And I think those could have generated something, but we don't know because we didn't do
Yep.
YouTube back then. But
Right.
personally, I'm kicking myself for not doing it back then, but things happen for a reason. So that's going to be it for the show. And once again, I know I said it before. Thank you very much for being on this show. We are going to take
Always.
off. And personally, I will be back next Monday at the same time. So, everyone, thank you very much and go Mariners.